What if the war between Iran and Israel doesn't stay between them? Across the Middle East, armed groups, fragile alliances, and rival powers are already lining up behind the scenes. And the Arab states caught in the middle are trying to avoid something they fear most, a full regional war. The question now is simple: who gets dragged in next? The seeds were planted years ago. The October 7th attack, Israel's war in Gaza, the direct missile exchanges between Iran and Israel in 2024, the covert assassinations and cyber operations of 2025. But 2026 is different. This year, the shadow war came into the light. Iran's nuclear program has crossed new thresholds, triggering alarm across Western intelligence agencies. Israel has responded with an intensified campaign of strikes, not just against proxies, but against Iranian assets and personnel closer to Iran's own borders. Tehran has retaliated through escalations that are harder to ignore and impossible to contain. The diplomatic channels that once kept this rivalry from boiling over, they're fraying fast, and the countries caught between these two powers are running out of room to stay neutral. Iran's greatest weapon has never been its own military, it's other people's militaries. For over 40 years, Tehran has built something no other country in the region has: a transnational network of armed groups that fight on Iran's behalf, on someone else's soil. Hezbollah in Lebanon, battle-hardened, heavily armed, and sitting on Israel's northern border with an estimated 150,000 rockets. Hamas, weakened by the Gaza war, but not destroyed. Still a symbol, still a tool. The Houthis in Yemen, who have turned the Red Sea into one of the most dangerous shipping lanes on Earth, disrupting billions in global trade well into 2026. Iraqi Shia militias, launching regular attacks on U.S. positions and keeping Washington permanently on edge. This is Iran's doctrine: strategic depth without direct exposure. Fight everywhere, be blamed nowhere, at least officially. And in 2026, every single one of these proxies is more active, more aggressive, and more coordinated than ever before. Now here's the part that rarely makes the headlines, but matters more than almost anything else. The Arab states are trapped. Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Egypt, Jordan. These countries see Iran as their primary strategic threat. Iranian proxies have attacked Saudi oil facilities. Iranian influence has swallowed parts of Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, and Yemen. For these governments, Tehran's expansion is an existential concern. Some of them were even building quiet ties with Israel, the Abraham Accords. Back-channel intelligence sharing. A shared enemy was creating strange alliances. But then Gaza happened, and everything froze. Millions of Arab citizens watched the devastation in Gaza and demanded their governments act, not quietly, not diplomatically, loudly. Any Arab leader seen as too close to Israel now risks something they fear more than Iranian missiles: their own streets turning against them. So they condemn, they call for ceasefires, they send aid, but they do not act, because acting in any direction could be fatal. So what would it actually take for this to become a full regional war? Scenario 1. Hezbollah fully enters the fight. Not the limited border exchanges we've seen, but a full-scale bombardment of Israeli cities. Israel would respond with overwhelming force in Lebanon. Casualties would be catastrophic on both sides. Refugees would flood into Syria and Jordan, two countries that can barely handle the pressure they already face. Scenario 2. Iran, or its proxies, strike Gulf oil infrastructure again. Saudi Arabia's Abqaiq facility was hit once before, in 2019. A repeat, or something larger, could send oil past $170 a barrel. Every economy on Earth would feel it within days. Scenario 3. American soldiers are killed. U.S. forces in Iraq and Syria face near-constant drone and rocket attacks. So far, Washington has shown restraint, but a single mass casualty event could trigger direct U.S. strikes on Iranian soil. And if that happens, every calculation in the region changes overnight. Scenario 4. The Strait of Hormuz. 20% of the world's oil. 30% of global seaborne crude. If Iran restricts passage, even partially, global supply chains buckle. Not in weeks, in hours. None of these scenarios are fantasy. Every single one has a precedent. And in 2026, the distance between unlikely and unfolding has never been thinner. Behind closed doors, the message from Arab capitals is remarkably consistent. We do not want this war. Saudi Arabia is spending over $1 trillion reinventing its economy. The UAE has built itself into a global crossroads for finance, tech, and tourism. Egypt needs foreign investment to keep its economy from collapsing. Jordan needs stability the way most countries need oxygen. A regional war doesn't just threaten borders, it threatens everything these nations have spent a generation building. Their strategy is clear. Contain the crisis. Avoid choosing sides publicly. And wait, hoping the fire burns itself out before it reaches their door. The Middle East in 2026 is not experiencing a world war, but it's experiencing something that might be just as dangerous, a conflict with no ceiling and no exit. Every side believes it can escalate just enough to gain leverage without triggering the unthinkable. Iran pushes through its proxies, Israel pushes through its strikes, the United States pushes through its deployments, and the Arab world pushes back against all of them, while trying not to crack from within. The question isn't whether the Arab world wants to be dragged into this war. It's whether anyone still has the power to stop it. If you want to understand the forces shaping our world, subscribe. We turn the world's most dangerous crises into stories you can actually follow.